Urgot's passive is Echoing Flames. Urgot has 6 shotgun legs, one in every direction. Each leg has 1 shot and an individual reload timer. Urgot's basic attacks on hit fire a shotgun in that direction, dealing damage in a cone-shaped area. Urgot's Q is Corrosive Charge. Urgot fires a canister at the target location that explodes after a short delay, dealing damage and slowing enemies' hit. Urgot's W is Purge. Its passive is that Urgot's Q, E, and R all apply a purge mark to enemy champions' hit for 5 seconds. Its active is that, for 4 seconds, Urgot grants ghosting to all non-champions and non-epic monsters around him and autonomously attacks the nearest enemy at a fixed attack speed, prioritizing enemy champions marked with Purge and refreshing the mark with every attack. Urgot can attack while moving, but while firing, his base movement speed is reduced and he gains slow resist. Attacks with Purge do deal on-hit damage, and obviously do trigger your shotgun legs too, however they can't critically strike. At Purge's maximum rank, the ability becomes a permanent toggle with no cooldown. Urgot's E is Disdain. Urgot gains a shield and winds up for a short duration, then dashes in the target direction, dealing damage to enemies in the way while knocking them aside. When Urgot hits an enemy champion, he damages them, stuns them, and flips them behind him. Urgot's ultimate is Fear Beyond Death. On the initial cast, Urgot fires a drill in the target direction that skewers the first enemy champion hit, dealing damage and leashing them for a few seconds, during which they're revealed and slowed. Fear Beyond Death can be reactivated if the target is below 25% of their max health. When recast, Urgot launches his stomach chains at the target, then starts reeling them back into his
belly grinder,
suppressing them and making them untargetable and immune to damage from other sources. If Urgot can complete his channel, the target is executed and nearby enemies are feared and slowed for a short duration. Urgot's passive is Zorn Touched Bolt. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Urgot's passive is Zorn Touched Bolt Augmenter. Urgot's basic attacks and Q reduce the damage dealt by their target for 2.5 seconds. Urgot's Q is Acid Hunter. Urgot fires a missile in a line, dealing damage to the first enemy hit. Urgot's W is Terra Capacitor. Urgot shields himself for up to 5 seconds, which also causes his basic attacks and Q to slow enemies' hit while the shield is up. Urgot's E is Noxian Corrosive Charge. Urgot fires a corrosive charge at the target location, dealing damage to all enemies hit over 5 seconds and reducing their armor for the duration too. It also makes your Q a targeted ability with increased range. Urgot's ultimate is Hyperkinetic Position Reverser. Urgot stuns the target enemy champion and channels for a moment, swapping places with and slowing them, alongside increasing Urgot's armor and MR for a short duration. Why this is an ability on this champion, who knows. You know what, ask this guy, I'll ask this fucking guy. Oh wait, he has since left and became the CEO of Skyborn Games. What's Skyborn Games? For your first item, you'll want to be building Black Cleaver, as you can apply its armor shred very Urgot was released in patch 1.0.0.99, which was the 22nd patch of League of Legends, making him the 18th to be released after beta, right after Galio, which funnily enough was also the case with their reworks too. Patch 4.15 was the first real update to Urgot's abilities, which was a full 4 years after his initial release. In this patch, his Q is made to refund half its mana cost when it lands the killing blow on an enemy, and his ultimate made Urgot ignore unit collision for 1 second after successfully using it. In patch 5.22, his ultimate's bonus armor and magic resistance was changed to a flat 30, 40, and 50% damage reduction. In patch 6.5, his W gained the ability to be cast while using your ultimate, and his ultimate made all nearby enemies feared for 1.5 seconds upon arrival, which is something we'd see carried over to the rework. Speaking of which, in patch 7.15, Urgot's much needed rework arrived, after over 6 years of this shit being in the game. In patch 7.17, his W was made to refresh the Purge mark, and in patch 8.11, his ultimate was made to no longer root Urgot while he's in his executing animation. In patch 9.6, his W lost its shield, but gained its max rank toggleable infinite duration effect, and his E gained a shield. These changes were made in response to his win rate plummeting due to some pretty hefty nerfs made in 9.2 and 9.4, but holy shit, I'm glad they made them. I can't even imagine this champion without the toggleable W. It feels so integral to his kit, just as integral as Galio's W Flash or Asol's toggleable W. Ah, for fuck's sake. Urgot has had generally a mixed reception since his launch, being quite a niche champion at the end of the day. He's sort of a love him or hate him.
What a strange concept for a champion.
Yeah, kind of champ. Since his rework, he's held a pretty high win rate, all things considered, hovering above the 50% line most of the time, albeit while having a pretty poor pick rate, being around 1 to 5%. He's also had his fair share of the spotlight too, the earliest of which being the original Crab God, which might have been the worst skin in the game, up until his rework, in which it became probably the best 520 RP skin in the game, which I mean you have to give Riot credit for turning this abomination into something that isn't, you know, physically painful to look at. In saying that, another one of his skins, Butcher Urgot, went from this really cool Leatherface reference to whatever this thing is. Why are his legs so skinny? Why does he have a piece of construction equipment taped to his arm? Why did they think it was a good idea to keep the apron but cut half of it off? Just get rid of the damn thing. He has a fucking meat grinder in his stomach. I feel like him getting blood on himself is going to be the least of his issues. More recently, the long-awaited Star Guardian Urgot was released after years of unfunny jokes and memes about it. And while we could have gotten something like this, or this, or this, I guess, we instead got Pajama Cosplay Urgot. I mean, it's sort of what we asked for. I don't really know how to feel about this.